gentlemen, on behalf of Gold Circle Track and Ball, the finishing post, we'd like to welcome you to our venue this evening for the discussion on the Hollywoodbets Durban July race meeting. And with me is my good friend and co-host Graham Hawkins. We of course have Muzi Yeni and Samanga Kamala going to join us a little bit later. But Graham, how are you?
All good, thank you. Looking forward to a great day on Saturday, the 5 million rand Hollywoodbets Durban July. Welcome to our track and ball preview. And you're going to tell them how it's all going to work.
Absolutely, Graham. We're going to go through how the things are happening tonight. And this, of course, this broadcast goes out to all the track and ball branches. So for those of you that are watching this production, we welcome you from around KwaZulu-Natal and hope that you have a good time with us. Ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know that the prices that are on offer right now at Track and Ball, those are the extended prices, those are the available prices. And when you go up to the teller, if the teller tells you 5 to 1, 5 to 1 is at its max, that's the extended price. So please don't ask for a further stretch. But those prices are all out there now, and from 5:30 you can go through and get your bets on. Also, we're going to just have a little introduction and talk about a few things that are happening. Graham and I are going to go through the entire card now, giving you our tips, selections, and what we've heard, barring the Hollywoodbets Durban July. Graham will then leave us, and Muzi Yeni and Samanga Kamalo will then come and join us for the main race. There'll also be lucky draws. There will be dinner served later on, and there's plenty of action. Plenty action.
All part of the great build-up to the Hollywoodbets Durban July. 12 races. First race off nice and early at 11:45. It's the Bloodstock South Africa Sales Cup for fillies. 400,000 rand, 2-year-olds over 1,300 metres. First 10 races on the card are on the turf, the last 2 races on the poly track. So let's get into it.
Absolutely, Graham. But I think before we go any further, we just ask everybody to take their seats and to maybe keep the volume down a little, because you can hear that everybody wants to try and get as much of the information as possible. Okay, the first race at 11:45 on Saturday. An interesting race, a good race, Graham. What I can offer at the table is number 3, Dolcezza. I thought that was a very good run last time. I think Dolcezza's got a chance. Oriental Bouquet at any price. Ignore her last start. She's a very good filly. A Woman of Fame is my outsider, but I think they're all going to have to run some to beat number 11, Secret Identity.
Well, obviously, there was not much to choose between Secret Identity and Dolcezza. The last time, Dolcezza has the better draw. Richard Faree takes the right, so that's a notable jockey booking. So not too much to choose between the early favourite Secret Identity. They're very confident. Grant van Niekerk's very confident. Michelle Ricks is very confident. So Secret Identity, certainly the one to beat in the opener. Plenty of cheat to come from Dolcezza. You've picked out Oriental Bouquet. What about Christophe Soumillon? His first ride of the day is aboard number 1, American Graffiti. Won its first 2 starts. Forget that last run behind Mrs. Geriatrics. Didn't act in the going that day. So watch out for a much better run from American Graffiti. We saw what Christophe Soumillon did on Met Day. We saw what he did. He set the tracks alight. Look forward to seeing Christophe Soumillon riding here at Hollywoodbets Greyville.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you mentioned American Graffiti as well, because you ignore that last run from gate 1 with Christophe. Certainly she'll be a runner. But the talk, ladies and gentlemen, is big for number 11, Secret Identity. We've given you horses 1, 3, 4 and 8 to include as well, but 11, Secret Identity, well fancied. The second race is at 12:25, the Bloodstock South Africa Sales Cup. This is for the boys, the Colts and Geldings, also over 1,300 metres. And Graham, I haven't had a look at the betting yet, and you're going to talk to us about the betting, but the talk is big for Main Defender.
And why not? He's cracked the inside gate. Tony Peter in terrific form. Craig Zaki in good form. Main Defender, the son of Path Falk, is unbeaten 2 from 2. He won his debut race at Hollywoodbets Scottsville. Then he won on the Highveld. He comes to his 3rd racetrack in as many starts, but he's clearly talented. But I notice a couple of the pundits out there are labelling Outlaw King as the best bet on the card. Keegan DeMello and Dean Callame, a distant second behind Lucky Lad last time. So Main Defender, from a good draw, is going to have some opposition from Outlaw King, but I think there are a few others that have certainly come into the race with terrific form. Jerusalem Rain in really good form, and he must have a chance as well. But all eyes will be on Main Defender. Your fancy?
Absolutely, yep. And I'm glad you touched on Outlaw King. Big cheek can be expected from him. Jerusalem Rain is also fancied by the stable, but the talk from the Main Defender camp is that he's absolutely flying at home, and he's come on since that last run. So they are very confident. Race 2, Main Defender. Let's move on to race number 3, Graham. This is the Splash Out 2200. It's a Group 3 event for 250,000 Rand. Obviously, it's the Hollywoodbets Durban July consolation, but it is the Splash Out 2200. And this horse, Shango, just seems to come alive when he comes to KwaZulu-Natal.
Well, he loves this course and distance, as does Nebras. So, you know, Sean Terry's got quite a strong hand here with Nebras and the one that you've mentioned, Shango. But the favourite early on is One Way Traffic. Aragosta is a weak second favourite at around 7-1. I think there's a heck of a lot of value to be had about Razor Hallelujah at 10-1. I'm all over Razor Hallelujah at 10-1. He ran a cracking good race in the Lonsdale. He is ideally course and distance suited. He's got a nice low weight. So for me, Warren, the value in the race, yeah, Shango comes alive at this time of the year. Seamaster was a good winner of the Lonsdale. These races are right for upsets. Perhaps One Way Traffic maybe does set the standard. But for me, Razor Hallelujah, I'm hoping that I'll get some 12-1 a bit later on.
Okay, Razor Hallelujah. Before we move on to the next race, Jimmy Don. What are your thoughts on Jimmy Don? Because there was talk about them fancying Jimmy Don for the main race, the Hollywoodbets Durban July.
Yeah, obviously it's his first sight of the track and he's not well drawn. He's drawn out in the car park on the far side of the Hollywoodbets Durban July start for this Splash Out 2200. But Erico Verdenese thinks a lot of him. He's shown a lot of class as a 3-year-old on the Highveld. He represents some of the best classic form on the Highveld. So you can't ignore Jimmy Don. Lord William is another. Street Art. These are all horses. I believe that Blackthorn, they're expecting to need the run, which is why he's in the 2200 and not in the following race, which is the DST Gold Vase. So they're giving him an easier prep into the Gold Cup this year. But you know, One Way Traffic, possibly the one to beat. He ran well last year, but for me, it's Razor Hallelujah.
Last question before we move on to the fourth race. It's the first leg of the place accumulator. I would suggest to the punters and to the viewers to try and include as many as the budget would allow. It is a tough race.
You know, last year's place accumulator paid something like 41,000 Rand. That's what the place accumulator paid last year on Hollywoodbets Durban July day. It's a highly competitive day. Guys out there, rather spread your risk, take a smaller percentage, hope that you double up, rather get something of a massive dividend. This year is no exception. There are a couple of key races where perhaps you can get away with a few runners. But the place accumulator, what a wonderful bet on a race card like this. So this first leg, although I like Razor Hallelujah, I think you've got to throw 4 or 5 into the first leg, even in the place accumulator.
I couldn't agree more. And just a reminder to all the punters that are watching this production, betting is open. It has been open since 5:30 at the extended prices.
Get the best prices. You can get them right now. You can get
absolutely.
the best prices right now.
Right now you can get the best prices, so please go up to your tellers. And of course you'll have plenty time to bet through the evening. Let's go to race 4, which is the start of the big one, as Dees Dinan says, the pick 6. And race 4 is the DSTV Gold Vase. It's a Group 3, over 3,000 metres for a stake of 250,000 Rand. Now, straight to you, because Muzi's going to be joining us later on, as well as Samanga. And you were just chatting to Muzi about Armagam.
Yeah, he thinks Aramagam is his best ride of the day. That was Muzi's throwaway comment. As you say, he'll be joining you a little bit later on to discuss the big race, the 5 million Rand Hollywoodbets Durban July. But he makes, Muzi Yeni makes a Ramagam in race 4, the opening leg of the pick 6, a carryover pick 6. We're expecting a massive pool for this carryover pick 6. The DSTV Gold Vase over 3,000 metres. He makes a Ramagam his best on the day, Muzi Yeni. But before we go any further, although we're talking about the first leg of the pick 6, let's not forget that there are 3 jackpots. Races 1, 2, 3 and 4. Races 5, 6, 7 and 8. Races 9, 10, 11 and 12. So there are 3 jackpots. A massive pick 6 carryover. 2 bipots. The place accumulator. It's all happening. A feast of betting opportunities with massive pools. But as you say, this is the first leg of the pick 6, and my word, what a tough race to start. You know, there's a big spread in the weights. Ramagama is the early favourite. Runaway Song, the winner of the Track and Ball Derby, he showed on that occasion just 2 weeks ago that he stays. Will he go 3,000 metres?
That's the question.
Well, that's another big step up for Runaway Song. Future Pearl. He won the Gold Bowl over 3,200 metres. He'll get every inch of the trip. Salvatore Mundi stays well. Senso Unico. Rex Union at 20-1. That's a crazy price about Rex Union. He stays the trip. He runs well over 3,000 metres and 3,200 metres. He loves it around Hollywoodbets Greyville here. Rex Union, a crazy price at 20-1. And what about Prime Example with no weight on his back? 50 kilograms, 33-1. This is a tough race, Warren. This is a tough start. You're going to have to make some key decisions later on in the card, but don't go light.
Yeah, you
can't, in the DSTV Gold Bars. You
definitely can't go light. There are a few races later on where I believe we can go light, but the early start, you need to load up. So those are the suggestions
so
for the
first choice?
Graham, probably Future Pearl from Aramagam. Those are the two. I'm going to be taking as many boxed exactas as I can. Future Pearl, Aramagam. I respect Muzi's opinion. I respect his best ride on the day for Stephen Chetty. But Future Pearl is the other one that I'm backing this horse up with.
I'm going to back two big outsiders in the race. I've mentioned them already. I'm going to have an each-way bet on Rex Union. I'm going to have an each-way bet on Prime Example. Just to have an each-way interest on two runners in what I think is a very open race. But the pick six, you've got to go very wide, in my opinion.
The fifth race, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to race number 5 on the card. It's the Zulu Kingdom Explorer Golden Slipper, a Group 2 event where they race over 1,400 metres for a stake of 400,000 Rand. I've looked and I've looked and I've looked and looked and looked through this field. Mrs. Geriatrics. I mean, every time I've wanted to see her do more, she's done it. Every time they ask her to do more, she does it. Can she remain unbeaten after this race? I think she can. And possibly a banker.
Yeah, this is the second leg of the pick six. It's the first leg of Jackpot 2. It's the Zulu Kingdom Explorer Golden Slipper. 400,000 at stake. You know, the first prize is 250,000. If Mrs. Geriatrics pulls this off, she'll have earned more than R1 million already as a 2-year-old. And that's quite a significant achievement for the Magical Lady Syndicate. The nominee is Natalie Turner. These ladies love this filly, and why not? She was a cheap purchase at the sale. She only cost 200,000 rands for a Vercingetorix. That was way below the average price for a Vercingetorix at the sale. It's a fairy tale story. She's won 4 races from 4 starts. She's already a Grade 1 winner. She's well drawn. She's got Richard Ferrier aboard. He's ridden in the last 3 starts. She's 13-10. 13-10 in the betting. On form, she could well be an odds-on favourite. So, as a potential banker in the exotics, obviously Mrs. Geriatrics puts her hand up in a big way, Warren. But you know, last year what made the place accumulator pay was the fact that Captain's Ransom couldn't run a place in the Garden Province Stakes. So we've got to remember these things. But I'm not suggesting that's going to happen here. The only other runner quoted in single figures is the Candice Bass Robinson runner, and that is number 6, Distant Winter. She's got great form, 3 seconds, 2 wins from 5 starts, but her record doesn't match that of Mrs. Geriatrics. So are we going all in with Mrs. Geriatrics?
Well, you know, you've mentioned Distant Winter. You've got to respect the filly. White Pearl, for me, Mike de Kock going for 3 in a row. You've got to respect her. But it's all about structure, structuring your bets, structuring your perms, etc. It's expensive. It's an expensive day to play. So to answer your question, I think we take the leap of faith. She's really a good filly, and I would suggest her as a banker, Mrs. Geriatrics.
Yeah, I think you're not far off the mark. The only, you know, some of the guys who play for huge value and go for the big dividends will be saying to themselves, 90% of the players on the day are going to be bankering Mrs. Geriatrics. Do I want to be in the other 10% that are not going to? I'm glad you mentioned White Pearl, because perhaps this is, at 20-1, the big danger to Mrs. Geriatrics. We know she gets the trip. We know she's by the exciting Denon Platina, whose juveniles are really setting the tracks alight. We know that she's trained by Mike de Kock. We know that she's ridden by Keegan de Mello. These are all significant plus points. She's 20-1 in the market. I think that's overpriced. I'm not suggesting that she's going to beat Mrs. Geriatrics, but I would think that White Pearl is one of those that are going to go close to chasing her home, and an obvious inclusion for exactas, trifectas and quartets. But let's be in the camp of the unbeaten Mrs. Geriatrics. We don't like to see good horses getting beat. She goes around the corner here at Hollywoodbets Greyville. It's new territory for her, but she's nicely drawn, and with Richard Faree's expertise, and Sean Terry will have a cherry ripe for the Magical Lady Syndicate. So, Warren, let's go all in with Mrs. Geriatrics.
All right, we're all in with Mrs. Geriatrics. That's the one that we like. We're going to bank her and we're going to be with her. She's an unbeaten horse, and we're hoping that she'll remain unbeaten after Saturday. Durban Golden Horseshoe, race number 6 on the program, which goes off at 3 o'clock. It's a Group 2 for R500,000, and the field is up on screen. Tab, track and ball gaming, some wonderful visuals and some wonderful slides that have been put together for you. And the 6th race now, Graham, I found this a very competitive race, whereas in the previous race, obviously a horse like Mrs. Geriatrics jumps out at you. In this race, there isn't one for me that jumps out at you, but in saying that, Sandringham Summit keeps me interested. What price is Sandringham Summit?
Sandringham Summit is around 7-8-1, so easy to back. The clear favourite is number 13, Give Me Another Chance. He, of course, has got course and distance experience in the Gatecrasher Stakes. That will stand him in good stead. But in that race, he was drawn 1. In this race, he's drawn 13. It's not going to be easy for Give Me Another Chance from the wide outside, from gate number 13. Is he good enough? Perhaps he is. Keegan DeMello rides the son of Give Me the Green Light for Mike de Kock. He's short in the market. He's short in the market. So many guys will be thinking, well, this pick 6 is tough. We're going to have to bank a Mrs. Geriatrics. We're going to have to bank a Give Me Another Chance and go wide in the other 4 legs. But like you, I'm interested in Sandringham Summit because David Nevenhuizen rates him very highly. Like the favourite, he's the son of Give Me the Green Light. He's a brother to Eden Rock, who was a very talented horse on his day. And Sandringham Summit, who's easy to back, as I said, at around 7-8-1, has obvious claims. He's better drawn, he's in gate 7. Guy Gibson, many talking about Guy Gibson because of his form behind Lucky Lad. We've seen horses running behind Lucky Lad, coming out and winning in good company. He's well drawn in gate 5. He's a son of the exciting but defunct Lancaster Bomber. Guy Gibson is short, in fact, second favourite, ahead of Sandringham Summit. And then there are a few others, but to be honest, I would be surprised if the winner doesn't come from one of Guy Gibson, Sandringham Summit, and Give Me Another Chance. Maybe the improving Hawk Bill could have a say in the outcome, because I think the further he goes, the better he'll be. But it's going to be tough to beat Give Me Another Chance.
Graham, just before we move on to the next race, just 2 points with this Durban Golden Horseshoe, the Group 2 event. Number 14, Fire and Flames. I'm not suggesting that Fire and Flames can win, but I mean, they're all in the race. They've all got a chance. He's been so good to me, this horse. I'd never turn my back on him. I think he could be a quartet inclusion. And then I spoke to Mike Miller, and this is most important information to the public. Number 1, Winter Games. They really like this colt. They like him as an individual. He's got tons of ability, tons of talent. He's progressive, etc. So don't leave out number 1, Winter Games. The yard do rate him.
Winter Games is clearly above average. He's beaten the subsequent winner, Dr. Faustus. He was soundly beaten by Give Me Another Chance in the Gatecrasher Stakes. But I remind you again, on that occasion, Give Me Another Chance was drawn in pole position. He's now got gate 13 to contend with. That will allow Winter Games to get a lot closer. Another worthy of mention is the only filly in the race, Golden Tatiana, because she's got solid form in feature race company. But perhaps we're starting to stretch ourselves a little bit. So if we were to focus in on the principal contenders, Fire and Flames, I take your point, but he's drawn even worse than Give Me Another Chance.
More of a place chance than a winning one.
More of a place chance. Sandringham Summit, Guy Gibson, Winter Games. That's the proverbial not-so-short list. I know it's a bad draw, but I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Give Me Another Chance to beat Winter Games, Sandringham Summit, Guy Gibson. Maybe that Gatecrasher form over this course and distance, same course and distance, is going to stand up for us.
The 7th race, of course, is the Hollywoodbets Durban July. We're going to skip that race for now, and we're going to be joined by, as you know, Muzi and Samanga to take us through the Hollywoodbets Durban July field. So we're going to move on swiftly to race number 8 on the program, 8 of 12, which is the Ridgemont Garden Province Stakes. It's a Group 1 event for 1,250,000 over 1,600 meters. Is it as easy as I'm seeing it? I make it an absolute boat race between 6 Desert Miracle and 10 Princess Calla. My lurker for the back end of quartets to run maybe 4th from the deep draw is Tipsy Tarragon for an outside place chance. But in the pick 6, I'm not going more than Desert Miracle and Princess Calla.
It does look an absolute boat race between Desert Miracle and Princess Calla. Your long shot, I'll come back to those two in a moment. Your long shot is 13 Tipsy Tarragon. There's no lack of depth to this race. It's a high-quality fillies and mares, weight for age, Grade 1 event. As is the case with the Hollywoodbets Durban July, this is also a Grade 1 race. It's great that Christophe Soumillon is here to reunite with Desert Miracle. We saw him ride Desert Miracle to victory over Captain's Ransom in the Majorca Stakes on midday. So Desert Miracle and Christophe Soumillon, they get on well together. But Richard Fourie and Princess Calla, they also get on extremely well. Now, your long shot, you said, was Tipsy Tarragon. I was having a chat to Simango, who's going to join you along with Muzi for the chat and the discussion around the main race in a few minutes' time. He quite likes Give Me a Shot. He said to me, Graham, for trifectas and quartets, tell the public out there while you're going through the other races that I quite like number 7, Give Me a Shot. We know that on her very best form, she's very talented. She's nicely drawn. She will take to the 1,600 meters here at Hollywoodbets Greyville. So that's another to consider for your trifectas and your quartets. And of course, Humdinger from a good draw is always running above expectations. And the other to mention are Golden Hostess and Marina, the two runners from the Candice Bass Robinson stable. Remember, Marina ran a place last year. Golden Hostess doesn't know what it is to run a bad race. But those are the horses for your trifectas and quartets, because we are both expecting first and second to be between Desert Miracle and Princess Calla.
Absolutely. Well,
they stand out.
They do stand out.
But nail your colours to the mast. Are you in the Desert Miracle camp, or are you in the Princess Calla camp?
You put me under big pressure, because I was originally in the camp of Princess Calla in a big way, but since having spoken to the connections of Desert Miracle, they are very upbeat. They're very confident. Both connections, ladies and gentlemen, connections of Desert Miracle and Princess Calla are hugely, hugely, hugely confident. So to answer your question, yeah, I'll stick with Princess Calla.
I give the edge. I give the edge to Princess Calla. But clearly, for all exotic bets, you have to include both number 6 Desert Miracle and 10 Princess Calla. And this year's running of the Ridgemont Garden Province Stakes, from all exotic bets perspective, whether you're talking about the jackpots, the place accumulators, or the pick sixes, this is a key race. Yep. We cannot get an upset here. I remember all those years ago when the entire crowd shouted the grey Bella Bella home. She was a whole country's banker, the worst nightmare for the bookmakers. And Anthony Delpeche rode her that evening. She was everybody's banker, and she came storming into the lead. And I'll tell you what, there was more noise at that moment than there was earlier for the Hollywoodbets Durban July. So Desert Miracle and Princess Calla, one of them must win. If neither wins,
we're out.
There's going to be silence.
Yep,
absolute silence after the running of the 8th race.
And again, a good feedback from Simango. Give me a shot, you including your trifectas and quartets. I like a little bit of Tipsy Tarragon for back-ended trifectas and quartets, but we're not expecting anything else besides Desert Miracle and Princess Calla. 9th race is the Post Merchants, Graham, goes off at 5:30. It's a Group 2 event for R500,000 worth of stakes, and there is the field on the screen for you to have a look at right now. The favourite is Thunderstruck, and I'm not saying Thunderstruck can't win. Of course he can win, and he's got to go into all of your bets. But what price is Sergey?
Sergey is around 7-8 to 1.
That's my first choice. I'm going with Sergey from the Brett Crawford stable. Louis McNotwa gets the ride. Yes, they are drawn awkwardly. I understand that. But he nearly won the Group 1 last time up at Hollywoodbets Scottsville. That was a huge effort, and he's always been a lovely horse.
Sergey is a terrific sprinter. He was amongst the early entries for the Hollywoodbets Durban July, which caught us all by surprise. But he's an outstanding sprinter, and he ran a superb race the other day when finishing third behind Gimme a Prince, just behind Thunderstruck, who ran second. Now, like you, it was nice to see Thunderstruck bounce back to form. He won the gold medallion, grade 1 as a 2-year-old, over the 1,200 meters at Hollywoodbets Scottsville. Last month, he ran a cracker to run second in the Golden Horse Sprint behind Gimme a Prince over that very same course and distance. How he's going to go here, around the corner at Hollywoodbets Greyville, I'm not certain. This is a favourite. I might have egg all over my face after the race. This is a favourite, although Christophe Soumillon rides for the powerful Sean Terry stable. This is a favourite I'm prepared to take on. And I think the Post Merchants is ripe for an upset result. You're entitled to like Sergey. Cosmic Highway, big chance. If Pearl of Asia was drawn better, I would say he could emulate his shock win in the Mercury Sprint a few seasons back. Pearl of Asia can be deadly when in the right mood, and his last run behind Gimme a Prince was a most encouraging effort. Then you've got Sheldon, who's in form. You've got Cold Fact, Gobsmacked, who can improve. And whoa. It's a difficult race. Luck in running is going to play a role. The pace is going to play a role. Thunderstruck possibly sets the standard on his best form. But like you, I'd rather be in the camp of Sergey. Even Silver Operator, Pico, they've all got chances. This race, I don't like. I don't trust this race. I'm going to go wide.
Every single punter structures their bets differently and looks at form differently, etc. You said that you could possibly have egg on your face because you're happy to take on Thunderstruck. I'm also happy to take on Thunderstruck. We could both have egg on our face. Maybe some of the other punters are of the opinion they want to take on Desert Miracle and Princess Keller. This race, I'll be looking for big value and a bit of an upset. That's why I'm going for the longer shot, Sergey. I'm like you. I'm happy to play to beat Thunderstruck.
So there we go. The Post Merchants, your favourite is Thunderstruck, but is he vulnerable? First time at the track, who knows?
Yep, he certainly can win, but he's not going to be a banker, that's for sure. The 10th race is the Compendium Insurance Brokers Handicap. It's a listed event over 1,600 meters, and this is the 150,000 Rand race, proudly sponsored by Compendium. And Graham, Silvano's Dasher from the Brett Crawford stable, Keegan DeMello, certainly has to be respected. A horse like Captain Fontaine, he's got all the ability in the world, and I was so thrilled to see that hugely improved run from Quasi for sure last time. He's a very smart horse that Peter Muscat has made no secret that he really rates this horse to be able to go to the top one day.
For my money, there are only 4 horses that can win. It is a handicap, so going on dangerous territory when you try to narrow down a very competitive handicap on a competitive day's racing to just 4 runners. Before I get there, the betting, I think, says it all. The favourite is Silvano's Dasher. The second favourite is a horse that I really have a lot of respect for. Money Heist is co-second favourite with Quasi for sure. And then Captain Fontaine, who's out at 10-1. The only 4 horses I think that could win the race are numbers 4, Money Heist, 7, Silvano's Dasher, 10, Captain Fontaine, and 12, Quasi for sure. My marginal first choice would be number 4, Money Heist. But I'm not going to leave any of those 4 out. My play goes around those 4 horses, numbers 4, 7, 10, and 12. I would be surprised if the winner of race 10, the Compendium Insurance Brokers Handicap listed over 1,600 meters, doesn't come from that group of 4 horses.
I also would like to share with the public with regards to Money Heist. That penultimate win at Hollywoodbets Scottsville was unbelievable. He had no right to win. He won, testament to his ability. His last start behind Captain Bombshell was outstanding. The stable and the connections of Money Heist have made it no secret. They rate him. He's a smart horse. They're expecting a huge run. So that is probably the horse to beat.
Christophe Soumillon has got a terrific book of rides. You know, obviously he rides Safe Passage in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. He'll be delighted. He'll hope he'll get a good tune out of that one, and he'll be delighted to be reuniting with Desert Miracle, as we mentioned. But aside from the 2 Grade 1 races, he's got a wonderful book of rides. He's been given welcomed here to KwaZulu-Natal by the connections of many of the runners, and it's going to be great to see him in action. And I think that obviously Money Heist Atandiwe Mgutlo is taking a back seat to allow the European champion to get aboard number 4 Money Heist, and I'm expecting a huge run from him.
The 11th race, which will be the penultimate race on the card, it's the Brentford Football Club 86 handicap. It's for fillies and mares over 1,600 metres for a stake of 120,000 rand. And how absolutely wonderful to have the Brentford Football Club as part of this huge, huge day of racing in South Africa. I have spoken to trainer Duncan Howells about his runners. He's got Lucky Miss and Asiya Pambili. They're both in a very good space. He's expecting huge runs from both. Must be included in all bets. And over the page, my personal fancy is number 12. I know going to be difficult from the awkward draw, but this horse, Hirkomi Boki, keeps me interested and keeps me interested a lot.
Well, Hirkomi Boki has got some decent form behind her name, but she should be held by Valeria's Dream. She should be held by Asiya Pambili, especially as she's drawn right on the outside in gate number 12. It's not going to be easy from there. I'm really bullish about Asiya Pambili. I was chatting to Anthony Delpesh, and I said, so where's the winner going to come from on the day for the Hollywood Syndicate? And he said, we might have to wait a long time through the day until we get to race 11. But Anthony Delpesh told me he thinks that Asiya Pambili is probably Hollywood Syndicate's best runner on the day. But of course, it's got to get ahead of Valeria's Dream. There was 3 parts of length between them when they met before, towards the end of May. Valeria's Dream is in good form. Richard Free, Peter Muscat, what a partnership. What a partnership. They win race after race after race, do Richard Free and Peter Muscat when they team up together. It's an interesting race. It's a fillies and mares handicap. It's a Brentford Football Club fillies and mares handicap at the 86th level. It's over 1,600 metres. It's very competitive. You know, if this race produced a shock result, none of us would be surprised because it is a competitive handicap and, you know, there are many with chances. But I'm going to row in with Asiya Pambili.
Okay, I can be with you because the stable, you tell us that Anthony Delpesh is upbeat, the stable's upbeat, so Asiya Pambili, and I'm going to as well take some swingers and quartets and exactors with Hirkomi Boki. Before we go to the last race, just behind you, behind the betting counter, I thought I was seeing things. I thought that we had 2 new betting clerks, but it's Muzi Yeni and Samanga Kamala getting ready to come and talk to us.
Yeah, they're starting to warm up their vocal cords. You guys getting those vocal cords ready because you're going to be chatting to Warren in just a few minutes' time about the Hollywoodbets Durban July. 5 million at stake. We're running nicely ahead of schedule, so you can come out of the change rooms. And up next will be Samanga and Muzi. Thank God you're sitting because you'd be dwarfing them otherwise. So obviously Warren towers over Muzieni and Samanga Kamala. And of course he is the defending champion. Yes. Samanga Kamala. Let's have a round of applause for Samanga Kamala, last year's winning jockey, Sparkling Waters. Come on, give him a nice warm welcome here before we discuss the last race. And Samanga's amongst us here, and everybody's delighted to see Samanga and Muzi. But let's do race 12 before I say goodbye and you introduce Samanga and Muzi. Let's go on to race 12. The lucky last, and it goes off at 7:30 on a long but fabulous day's racing.
Yep, and again, not an easy race to bring the curtain down on the day and the evening. Dean Kanemayer, Keegan DeMello's horse USA's Hope. I did think he could win last time, and I don't want to be too hard on him. He nearly won. He was third, beaten less than a length to very talented Beechamwood Boy. So he's probably going to be my narrow first choice. I do like Passage of Power, Pierre Striker Stradum's ride for Robbie Hill. Very good second last time behind Beechamwood Boy. And then there was one other I thought as a bit of a lurker, Graham, was number 7, Fateful Day for the back end of quartets. But I think 2 USA's Hope sets the standard.
Yeah, just a reminder again, of course, that races 11 and 12, including this, the 12th race, the Gagazi Fillies and Mares Merit Rated 88 handicap over 1,400 metres. They are on the poly track. Just to remind you that races 11 and 12 are on the poly track. Now, USA's Hope, I thought he would win last time. Yes. I was hugely disappointed and a lot poorer after he got beat by Beechamwood Boy because he carried all my hopes that day. Did USA's Hope. He's got a very neat draw at gate 2. And I think he sets the standard. He does have 61.5 to shoulder, but he's a very, very decent 3-year-old by the United States. Dean Kanemayer, Keegan DeMello. USA's Hope, if he doesn't win, he's certainly not going to be far away. But there are a couple of others. Turpitz won a good race last time out, or that last time that he came to this part of the world. Fateful Day, as you mentioned, I think is a big runner and must go into all bets. Lord Wiley pops up when he feels like it. He's the kind of horse that can boost the trifecta in the quartet dividends. And then Samanga. Before coming on air, I said, Samanga, give us one of your fancies amongst the minor races. And Samanga said to me, Graham, watch out for me on former gear in the last. Watch out for me on former gear in the last. I am going to end the day on a high note. So guys, we've told you straight from the horse's mouth, Samanga Kamala really fancies number 10, former gear. He rode it last time when second under a half length behind Cheeky Laddie. So he knows all about the 3-year-old son of Kirari. And of course, Peter Muscat really liked this horse as a youngster. He really thought high of him. And he went up in the ratings. He's starting to come down to a more competitive rating. And Samanga believes that he's going to give him a big run in the 12th and final race on Saturday. So maybe the swinger bet boxed is 2 USA's Hope, 7 Fateful Day, and 10 former gear. Maybe those are exactors and swingers to box in the 12th and final race.
Graham, that is the 11 races that we've gone through, and it's just to give the viewers and the punters a bit of an idea of what we've heard and what we've heard on the ground and what we like as well. Use it as a guide. It's such a competitive card. It's such a great day's racing. Whatever we've told you, use it, don't use it, but it's just what Graham and I like for the day. Thank you very much for your time. I look forward to spending the next 20 minutes to half an hour with Muzi and Samanga, and of course our brothers and sisters that are here in the track and ball finishing post. But please travel safely to your next appointment. It's a big week for us. Of course, it's the sales tomorrow. And thanks for your time. It's always a pleasure to go through the card with you, and just get safely to your next destination.
Yeah, thanks, Warren. It's been an absolute pleasure being here. There's a great buzz here at the finishing post bar. I'm sure you're going to love being with Samanga and Muzi. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Lovely, thank you. We're going to go to an ad break. That's Graham Hawkins. And we're going to go into an ad break. We're going to have an advertisement break, and we'll be back with you very soon. Welcome back to the track and ball finishing post here at Hollywoodbets Greyville. Graham Hawkins, my colleague and good friend, has now left the building to go to another function, and it gives me great pleasure to have Samanga Khumalo on my left and Muziyeni on my right, and I just must talk a little bit about them, because these are two young men that I've known for a very long time. I've had the privilege of watching them ride, I've had the privilege of watching them grow, and into two fine young gentlemen and to two fine young riders. So I think let's put our hands together and welcome Samanga Khumalo and Muziyeni to tonight's panel.
Thank you.
There we go. Whoop, whoop, you heard that, eh? What we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to go through all the runners in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. We'll start from 1 Bless My Stars and we'll go all the way down to 18 Pomp and Power. We'll get the opinion from our gentlemen on either side. I'll give you a quick opinion, and then at the end of the discussion we'll give you some selections, etc. So let's fire away then and start talking about the Hollywoodbets Durban July, the very first runner. And I'm going to start with Muzi first, is Bless My Stars for Keystorm Investments, nominee Mr. Kenneth Pillay. This is trained by Sean Terry, going to be ridden by Atandiwe Magudwa, one of the most improved young riders in a long time. Atandiwe is firing on all cylinders, gate 152, but a lot of the pundits out there, Muzi, say that a horse like Bless My Stars, this filly, although she's drawn 1, is going to have it all to do.
Yes, I just want to thank Club Tab for inviting us Track and Ball. I got to say, a lovely crowd appearance, and just thanks guys for having me on your part of the show. Just back to the the Hollywood Durban July. Yes, Bless My Stars, I got to say well done to Mr. Terry. He's done exceptionally well with this filly, and my colleague here managed to pull off a Group 1, the filly's classic. So she's it's a very, very talented filly. I do feel like she could have maybe gone out for a different race, but she deserves to be in the race. She won the Group 1 and she stays quite well. My concern is she getting enough weights from those top horses like What a Question, See It Again and Safe Passage. And at the weight, she's very under sufferance, and I think she's got a lot to do.
Samanga, you've, as Muzi said, Group 1 on her. She's a gorgeous filly. She's a good filly. What are your thoughts on her for the Hollywoodbets Durban July?
Obviously, I've won a Group 1 on her, and she's not one of the biggest filly, but she got a big heart. And I think even her last run, because Atandiwe just had to understand what kind of filly she is. And he came and asked me, and I just, gave him a copyright how to actually ride her. And she came out and she came out and showed class. Having said, I know it's a bit of a step. It's a bit of a step for her, and being under sufferance. Guys, I think for a place chance, paying up to 6 places, you can't leave her out. And she's been that distance, she's done it before, but it's just, I think the weight also are very important. She's getting 52. You can't leave out on the places.
Okay, so number 1, Bless My Stars for Samanga. Don't leave her out on the places, and she could be value for the places. Number 1, Bless My Stars. She is a 40-1 shot, ladies and gentlemen. She's a 40-1 shot, but boosted odds here tonight. You're getting 50-1, so extra 10 points. 50-1 boosted odds about Bless My Stars. When we spoke to Richard Fourie at the Hollywoodbets Durban July Gallops, and Dees Dynant asked him in the interview, give us a score out of 10 for your ride without question. He said 10 out of 10. Richard Fourie's upbeat. He's very confident. This is Nick Johnson's horse by the United States, and Justin Snaith, the trainer, Richard Fourie. I'll start with you this time because I started with Muzi previously. Ultra consistent. Richard's confident. What do you make of without question?
Yeah, Richard is super confident, and Richard has won Hollywoodbets Durban July, I think about 3 times, and he knows this race. He's no stranger to these races, and he knows the kind of horses that takes to win the race. And if he feels that the draw and the weight that obviously without question is carrying is the horse that can handle, and he's a very big individual. If Richard is confident, you know what, we have to start now to actually try and come up with plans, because we all in this race we're all here to win it. And if the man is confident, he's been there, done that. So I think you've got to respect it. And so to the guys out there, I know obviously it's easy pointing and picking, but they still have to gallop. They still have to come at the gate. They still have to be placed properly and to settle and all that. So I'm going to wait for the race day.
Okay, all right, Without Question, yep, I'm also in Simanga's camp. I'm going to wait and see how Without Question does. He's got a chance for me, but I'm not so confident with him for the first choice. How do you see Without Question running?
Obviously, we've got to come and guide the public as best as we can, and I got to say it's one of those horses where you give them either 10 stars, 9 stars or 8 stars, and for me it's a 9-star, possibly a 10-star. He's got a lot of positives, this horse, about him. He's trained by Mr. Snaith, the champion trainer, a trainer that's won, I think, the July 3 to 4 times. Richard's also won it 3 times. He's got a nice handy lightweight. He didn't win the Daily News, so he gets 2 kilos from the favorite to a horse that we all have to beat. He's a massive, massive runner. He's got when I say positives, he's got someone who's going to come out the gates. He's not going to be flustered on what to do. This is a very rough, scrimmagey race. And he's a type of guy you've seen in the season, the results that he's pulled. This is one of the main horses you have to beat. He's a tough horse that I don't want to be near him. I'd rather get away from him than be around him, because I think he can outquicken 90% of almost the whole field. So classy horse. Richards confirmed it. We're just talking to Monty about the discussion. That's Manga's agent, for anyone who doesn't know. And we said a lot of jockeys probably wish to be on something else in the July, and the fact that Richard is happy on what he's on, and he's probably he is the leading rider in the country, that should give all the punters enough credit and enough positives if you like this horse to go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well put, Muzi. If you like this horse, Without Question, go with it, because there is confidence from the camp Without Question. 7.14 currently trading Without Question. Tonight they're offering you at extended odds 9-1. Time flies. Horse number 3. Time flies when you're having fun. Dynasty filly for Hollywood Syndicate. Nominee Anthony Delpesh, Brett Crawford, and Luyolo Mngotwa gets the ride. Muzi, a good filly, but chatting to Anthony Delpesh on various other platforms, she's got it all to do, but she's certainly not completely prayerless.
Yes, I've got to say, interesting that Anthony went for this race, but obviously there are the sponsored races. They're the main they're the sponsor of the race, so it only makes sense to want to be competing in one of the most prestigious races in Africa. But to me, last time I think she ran higher than her rating, because it was a slow run race in the Willevington, the race Manga managed to win, and being 3 wide wasn't a bad thing, and a lot of horses didn't get a run late in that race. So she was desperately hanging on she quickened and desperately holding on for second. I don't think she's in this class. This is a highly competitive field and very close to give what a question, half a kilo. I can't see that happening. So for me, no chance.
Okay, that's Time Flies. I'm in agreement with Muzi. So is Anthony Delpesh. He says that she's got it all to do. I'm happy to pass her by. How do you see her running?
The last run, I think Louis had first run on me, and I was on the filly ran in Holland, and just that last little bit, it seemed like it for me going past him. I feel that he was running on empty, and my filly was full of running, and to go out now 2,200. It's a little bit of a question mark, but when I went past him, it feels like he was already had enough, and nice feeling. But I think it's gonna have to do a lot here. There's some hard knockers here, and obviously, if anybody is in a camp of Crawford, and they can follow, but these horses, they will surprise you. You'll have them at their peak, and just it doesn't work out, and then you'll sort of like not take a chance, and they'll come up. So the guys out there, I think sometimes they should just go with the gut feeling.
Heart in your gut. All right. Time Flies is a long shot to 40 to 1, but currently 45 to 1 tonight at Track and Ball. You'll get extra 5 points with Time Flies as we move on to Time Flies, a stable companion. Now there's a lot of talk, ladies and gentlemen, about Winchester Mansion. Brett Crawford, Cabello Matsanyane, a young rider who's hungry for success. He's just a talent of the highest order, is young Cabello, neatly drawn, 53 kilograms, and there's lots to like about Winchester Mansion. The prep's gone well and the camp are very, very confident. Moose, Winchester Mansion, I make him a big runner, do you?
You know what, I wasn't so quite convinced on this horse, but obviously, you know, you've got to respect third run after gelding. Third run after gelding should be peak run. It's got a nice low weight, a decent draw. And obviously, like you said, the Cabello should be nice for him. He's a very, very young and up and coming talent. And just for me, I wasn't so sure about him. You know, when Pakaya beat him, I was in the plane from PE to Durban for the KZN season, and Richard said, I'll win this race on Pakaya. And they beat him and he gave him 2.5 kilos. Now there's a weight turnaround for Pakaya. And as much as this horse has improved, I'm sure Justin Scott also Pakaya improve. So for me, I think I stand to be corrected. It could be Cabela's first ride in the July. And
I think you could be right. I think it could be right if memory serves us correct. Cabela's first ride, but yes. If it's not his first, he's had one or two maybe. Yes,
but saying that, he's not a horse that looks like he travels early to help him hold a position. And if the race is a bit of a rough and being drawn on that inside and he gets swarmed by horses, I think he needs a lot of room to get unwinding and going. So I don't know if everything will run to suit him, but for me, more of a place bet than a winning chance. I prefer others. All right, more of a place bet for Winchester Mansion, more of a place chance than a winning one as far as Moosey's concerned. What are your thoughts, Bling, with Winchester Mansion?
Muzi have said everything. I'm just worried about the way he hangs when he gets under pressure. So the guys out there, you just put that in the back of your head. He does tend to hang, and obviously sometimes they trying to get out of it, you know. So that's otherwise Muzi just said it all, you know.
You happy to go with more of a place chance than a winning one for Winchester Mansion?
You know what? They're giving up to 6 places. The guys out there, you know, it's a long day. 12 races. You need to catch something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's horse number 4, Winchester Mansion. Strong place chance from the gentleman on either side of me. And Winchester Mansion 5.25. The extended or boosted odd tonight for you, our dear friends, is 6.75 to 1. Let's go on to Billy Bowlegs, horse number 5. And Nico Koutsiatis interviewed Alec Laird at great length the other day, and I never had a chance to hear exactly what he was saying. But talking to one or two of the owners are Laura de Haast, Mrs. S. Govender, Kay Nagendran, and the International Racing Club, Joe DeMata. They are so thrilled to have a runner in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. And as a horse, my only concern, and I'll start with Samanga this time if you don't mind, Muzi, my only concern with Billy Bowlegs, the course, the track, that's my only worry.
You know, sometimes, as I say, sometimes they can surprise you, these horses. He's a big, strong individual, and he's ran with one of the best in SA, and I just feel he gives himself too much to do, and the Greyville being a short straight, it might just be being against him, you know. This stand side track, it's a long running, it takes time, and you know you always come and catch them late. For me, I think Greyville will be very testing for him.
I agree with you. I agree with you, and I think he's got it all to do, Billy Bowlegs. I'm not sure he'll be suited to the track, but if he happened to win the Hollywoodbets Durban July, I'll be the first to go and congratulate the owners. Moose, do you echo our sentiments with regards to the track, or do you think he'll be able to get over that? What are your chances with your thoughts on Billy Bowlegs?
Yes, obviously July is also a race ran with tactics as a rider on top. And I don't know if Sean's had enough time to have a relationship with this horse. He's a horse I've managed to win 2 races on him, and he's a horse that you kind of have to know him. He's quirky, you can't fire him up because he can over-race, and you also can't be in the July, be in a place where you're losing your position the first 400 meters going into the first turn. So has he had enough relationship with the horse to get the best out of him? That's the one keynote for me that I have to bring to attention. But in terms of him being to deserve his place, yes, he has. I'm not so sure about his prep. I think his prep hasn't been that great, but obviously a lot of trainers do try to avoid penalty races to get points. But he does deserve his place. I thought he was out of his ground in the Derby in Joburg, which I thought he could have just about won in the right position. Definitely deserves his place here, but I'd rather have him for a place than a win bet.
Okay, so there we go. Billy Bowlegs, a place chance more than a winning one, and that is Billy Bowlegs. Okay, we're going to talk to Samanga about the next horse, and after Do It Again, we'll get Samanga's opinion, we'll go and see it again, we'll be Muzi, and we're just going to alternate like that. And Do It Again. Well, I've had arguments, I've had debates. People have told me, do it again, we'll do it again. People say, do it again, won't do it again. He's a champion, Samanga, we know that. What are your thoughts about Do It Again? Because I'm not really in his camp, to be honest. I want to put him in my quartet, etc., but I won't be backing him for the win.
He's a very nice individual, big, massive stride. I once, not so long, I think about early this year, I was going to ride him. I went to take him at the track. He's such a lovely horse to actually to work with, But as long as they're sound and they're enjoying racing, I think they always have a chance. But this race here, he's no stranger to this race, and I wouldn't leave him out. But having said that, you know what? You saw his gallop. He was moving beautifully, stretching beautifully, and he's a sound and happy horse. You can't really leave him out. It's still, he can do it again. He can.
Yeah, he can do it again. Samanga says he can do it again. Okay, that's the twice over for Nick Johnson, Bernard Cantor, and Nancy Hossack. We're now going to talk about See It Again, horse number 7 from the Michael Roberts stable, and we're going to focus the spotlight on Muzi with regards to See It Again, the colt by twice over for Nick Johnson. Every time, Muzi, I see Mr. Michael Roberts, I ask, how's the big boy? He said he's good, he's getting better and better, he's happy, he's healthy, he's eating well. They're very confident. He is my firm first choice. Personally, I think they're going to have to go some to beat him. I make him the horse to beat. Let me put it to you that way. I make him the horse to beat. What is your opinion on See It Again?
No, I truly respect your opinion, Warren. We've been racing for years, and alongside of me, you saw me grow up in the game. And we look at horses and we talk about specimens, and he's a real specimen of a horse. He can shoulder the weight. He's almost the size of Do It Again. They're cousins or something like that. So he can shoulder the weight. He's got everything that you need. He can the pace doesn't need to be on for him to quicken. The faster, the better for him. So he is a class package. Like you said to him, he's got a champion jockey, a multiple champion jockey who will have him in the best position. He won't be flustered with whatever's going around him, and it's just confidence is in him. So this horse for me is the horse to beat. We all have to beat him, and I want to be at least 5 lengths ahead of him to give myself any chance to beat him. But he is generally the horse to beat.
Okay, Hey, the horse to beat, according to Muzi, which is See It Again, currently trading. Let's have a look. See It Again, 3.5, 4.25 you get tonight, 4.25 on See It Again. I might go and have a little tickle at 4.25. Bling, Silver Darling, Drakenstein Stud, Justin Snaith, JP van der Merwe, horse number 8, drawn 8 with 55 kilograms. She hasn't won for a little while, but she's ultra consistent, Silver Darling.
Yes, very consistent. The last time I think she didn't get a way through early, and she got in in a little bit of trouble, and JP managed to get her back again to finish a good third. You know, finishing a length behind Raining Hall. And you look at the race. It was, as Moses said, a lot of horses. There was a lot of bungee jumping there, and it's just you sort of like, did she have enough? But for me, when I went past them, they already had enough, and now she's going 2-2. For me, it's a little bit of a question mark. Has she done enough to be in this race? You know, she's ran with all the best horses here, but she's just short of herself to just gain that win. You know.
Yeah, that's number 8, Silver Darling, and I agree with Samanga's opinion. She's there, she's thereabouts, but she just hasn't stepped that bit more to get past the winning post. So I'm happy to pass Silver Darling by, and judging by Samanga's comments, he is 2. Let's have a look at the odds about Silver Darling. 40-1, you can get 50-1 tonight. Now we talk to big race rider Muzi Yeni about Son of Raj, and Son of Raj is by Duke of Marmalade out of a black Middleouche mare. Stephen Chetty, the owner, the most passionate, wonderful man. You'll meet Stephen Chetty, and Waiho Mowing, the trainer, and Muzi Yeni, the rider. Tell us about your horse. Tell us about everything, Son of Raj.
Yes, I've managed to put a few workouts on him, and he's a talented, young, good stamina sort of horse. Duke of Marmalade out of Irish mare. Just to say this, I'm just going to focus on the positives about this horse. He's lightly weighted. He's got a very good draw, which will suit his running style. And he's got all the stamina in the world. As you've known also, we've had a lot of rain in Durban, and it's going to be a testing track on Saturday. And I've got the horse with the lightweight, the stamina. I give him a real big chance for the first 4. Obviously, I think he can pull it off to win if the race works out when lack of running. Obviously, I got healthy respect. Like I said, See It Again, the class horses, I can't have them too close to me because they can outsprint me. But if the race unfolds into me and I can actually be in a position where I am 5 lengths ahead of them, I think I might be hard to pick back.
Absolutely wonderful talk to hear about Son of Raj from Muzi. And I'm not just saying it because he's here and because Stephen Chetty's a great friend of mine. Not saying it at all. I do give Son of Raj a bit of a chance, and how wonderful it would be for anyone to win the Hollywoodbets Durban July. But it would be lovely for Muzi or Samanga. But Son of Raj is who we're talking about now, and the spotlight is on Son of Raj. Muzi Yeni going to be doing his very best to bring home the 2023 Hollywoodbets Durban July. Son of Raj. Dave the King. Horse number 10, Dave the King, for Mike de Kock, Craig Zaki. Now here's a horse, Samanga, that I thought galloped very well. I know Safe Passage didn't have the blinkers on, is not the greatest workhorse, etc. But he galloped very well, Dave the King. I had a long chat to Mike de Kock, and his only concern is the 2,200 meter distance. But I think he's a big runner, Dave the King.
Obviously, I'm actually with Dave the King camp. He galloped really well, and I spoke to Craig past of this week, and he was really happy with the gallop. And you know, this horse here, I think if he can just settle, but obviously this race it's you have to come out and get position as quick as you can. But if he can settle, he definitely will see out the 2-2. I think the last run he was just being chased by another horse. I think it just made him to do a little bit too much early. And you know what? There wasn't much margin at the end of the race. Obviously, the winner came with a late rattle, and I think this horse here, if he can just settle, he's a big runner. I'm definitely a Dave the King camp.
Yep. Okay, so there we go. Samanga Kamalo, a Dave the King fan. He's in Dave the King's camp to run an absolute cracker in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. The spotlight's going to go back to Muzi now, because we're going to talk about Johan Janse van Vuren's horse. That's going to be ridden by Keegan de Mello. Porto Manzano, I saw some footage on social media. He looks exceptionally well, this horse Porto Manzano. He is a good horse. I give him a chance. He's not my first choice.
Yes, he's had a sensational season up in Joburg. He loves that stand-side track. I got to say well done to Johan. They've done phenomenal. Lawrence, Mr. Werner's for Mark, really has been a sensation. I think he's banked two Group 1s this season, and he's one of the few horses in this race that actually won 2 Group 1s. Whether the track will suit him and whether he can out-quicken, see it again, what a question from his racing style. That's my only reserves. But in terms of well-being and the horse being impressive and showing a good lease of life, I gotta say to him, he deserves his place in the race. He should be very competitive, but to get across the line first, I can't have him to win the race.
Okay, it's all about opinion. That's what it is. And yeah, he's a lovely horse. He's a smart horse. But as Muzi says, to get past the line in first, he says no, I say no. But it's just merely an opinion. 11 Porto Manzano, 20-1 shot. Right now, extended boosted odds, you'll get 25-1 about Porto Manzano. Back to bling, that rhymes, back to bling. Pakaya, awkwardly drawn, has 53 on the back for Justin Snaith, Grant van Niekerk, the Duke of Richmond Syndicate. He's a good horse. The stable are very upbeat.
Very nice horse. I had a chance to put a leg over him. It was a massive individual. The white draw, I think the weight is on his favor. I believe this was having to make up so much ground, and as big as he is, it makes it look very easy, And Grant and this horse, they have such a great relationship. He doesn't pull. He's a type of horse you can sit him in at the back, and then fire him up whenever you need him. And if the stable is upbeat with him, the guys out there with the deep pockets, they mustn't leave him out,
Okay, yep. Don't leave Pakaya out is Samanga Kamalo's opinion, and I agree with him. Good looking horse, good form, he's got ability, the stable are upbeat, don't leave him out. Okay, so Pakaya is a must, gets the tick from us. Let's move on, Muzi, to number 13, a second base. This is for recently married Robin Klaassen, now Robin Peter, and Chase Majan's going to ride. They do have an awkward draw to overcome. This is for New Atlas Racing and Mr. Stinky Poe, who is a wonderful friend of racing and a wonderful friend of ours. And wow, that was an outstanding run last time. First run for the new stable.
Yes, what a cracker. Well done to Robin for a phenomenal job at turning the form around. Yeah, it was a cracker last time, but my biggest problem is I'm concerned about the prep. Unlucky loser to not win the Champions Challenge, but I'm just concerned about the track, and obviously Robin is taking on some classy trainers, and you want the prep to be showing you that you're coming into the race, giving us all confidence, and just a little bit concerned with my prep. So for me, it's a little bit of a no. And also, just speaking to Monty as an agent, he's saying Chase will be rocking up there as his first ride on the day without having a good run on the track and a feel on the track. Not that it's an exact science, but you always also, as a jockey, you want to have that warm-up feel, try have an idea how the track is running, where to make your runs. But for Chase, I hope he can pull it off. But for me, just a lot of question marks, so not for me. A
lot of question marks about a second base. Good point that It's going to be Chase's first ride on the day. Very good point that Muzi makes, because this, he's quite right. You want to go around, you want to see the track, you want to go and see what it's all about and get a feel a couple of races before. But it's certainly a valid point, second base. I'm just having a look. Second base is 40-1. You can get 50-1 tonight. Rascallion, sorry, not Rascallion, my apologies. Safe Passage. Let's go and talk about the Silvano Gelding, Drakenstein Stud, Mike de Kock, Christoph Simeon, and Safe Passage. For me, I far prefer the Stable Companion.
Definitely. Obviously, they galloped together, and there was a bit of where Safe Passage could have gone a little bit better, but there's a lot of questions where, he didn't have blinkers. I have ridden him, I've won on him before he even had blinkers, and he always gave me a good feel. I think there was one big race in Joburg that I won with him, and his work that week was unbelievable. And I even gave the people that it's safe to go past the passage, and he came home easily. So the way he galloped, it's a little bit question mark for me, because as I said, I know he's way better than that. And I think Christoph, yes, he's a top guy, and but you just need a horse underneath you which will help him. And already here the guys, we're all looking for position. And if you have a horse that's not looking to take part, it's gonna be a little bit tough, because he was quite, he had a soft spot in my heart once before, and obviously he had a low injury which set him back, and from then after the injury he hasn't been the same horse, But if Mr. de Kock has 10 over the tables and fixed him up, and then we can get the old Safe Passage. But on a gallop, I'm gonna stay out.
Yeah, I agree with Samanga Kamalo on the gallop and on current form, etc. We're happy to stay out with Safe Passage, and one of the long shots, well, not that long a shot, 10-1 about Safe Passage, and they're offering you 10-1, so that may be a printing error, but 10-1 is the current odds, and there's the boosted odd of 10-1. So when you go to the counter, just double check that if you're a Safe Passage fan. But we're of the opinion that we far prefer Dave the King. Let's go and talk about Rascallion with Muzi. This is for Marsh Shirtliff and Bryn Wrestle, and Rascallion's trained by Vaughan Marshall, Cornet off for the pilot. Obviously number 15, drawn 15th. I don't know what to make of Rascallion anymore. He's a good-looking horse. He's got ability, but every time I go for him, he lets me down. When I don't go for him, he comes and runs a good race. I don't know. Help us with Rascallion.
I just want to give the public an idea how good this horse is. He got beaten by Jet Dark in the mid at level weights by 2 lengths. And he has suffered bad interference, which he looked like he could have won, barring the interference. So you can just imagine at level weights, if Jet Dog was in this race, it would be even money. Maybe even money. And second run, his first run here in Durban from Mr. Marshall, he gave Pakaya 7.5 kilos. He got beaten a length. So in his prep run. So his last run was a second run after a rest. He looked like he got caught up quite handy with the hot pace, and he just flattened a bit. It was the second run after a run. It's his third run, it's his peak run. And you must remember, this race has always been an argument between the 3-year-olds and the older horses. Yes. He's very close with the horse like the favorite, See It Again. There's a kilo in between them, which I don't think he should be that close. This was a massive runner. The only concern is Cornet coming into the race with a lot of good form as a jockey, as a rider? Will he be cool, calm and collected to do what he needs to do to bring this horse home? So that's a question mark for me. But it definitely is a horse, one of my horses which I give a massive chance, ridden correctly and luck of running.
There we go, ridden correctly and luck of running. Massive chance given to Rascallion from Muzieni, and he speaks some very valuable points about Rascallion. And 16-1 is Rascallion's price, and tonight you can get 20 to 1 if you're a Rascallion fan. Well, clearly Muzi is. Trip of Fortune, horse number 16 for Candice Bass Robinson, Aldo Domeyer. Some say, well, a late entry. Some say won't run well. Some say will run well. I'm not really in his camp. How do you see it?
Obviously, I think is a great miler.
Yes.
Over 1600, 1400. You can't put a blind eye on him. But 2,200 meters, it's a lot for this guy, and I feel, as you say, he might have been a late entry. It's just that he made it in, and it's just one of those, I don't believe that there has been like plans even prior before. They never took him further than a mile, yes. And I think it's just nice to have him running and in a race. Yeah.
Okay, that's number 16, Trip of Fortune. Yeah, we're on the fence with him. Let's have a look at his odds. Trip of Fortune, 40 to 1, a Trip of Fortune, but tonight they'll give you 50 to 1. Boosted odds, 50 to 1, Trip of Fortune. We're not really in his camp. What I'm going to do, if you don't mind, is stick with Samanga, because the next horse is Rain in Holland. And once we've spoken about Rain in Holland, the parting shot will come from Muzi with Pomp and Power. Then we'll get their selections, or they list their first 4 horses that they like. I'll give you my first 4, and we'll wrap it up. But Bling, to stay with you, Rain in Holland. You ride her so beautifully. She runs so well. She's just a fantastic filly. And again, it's all about opinion, having chatted with so many people. She's definitely, again, I'm not saying it because you're sitting here, you'll see in every publication that I've got her name on my list, on my short list. I think she's a runner. I really do. But you tell us more. She's such a good filly.
And she's doing really well. On Tuesday morning, I went to do a final workout on her, and I could never be happier. Even Mr. Terry, he said, "Don't worry." Obviously, Joburg, the winter coat, and all that. He said, "Don't worry about the winter coat. By the time the day comes, you'll see a different horse." And he asked me, was I happy with the workout? I told him definitely. She just blew me away, But my concern will be the draw. I have 16 other guys on my inside that wants to make similar adjustment to the race as me, but she can get stronger. The first time I rode her, I came out the gates, I thought I had her, and she just went with me, and I came back. I said to Mr. Terry, sorry. He said, but you won. I said, that wasn't the plan. So if she just relaxes a little bit, I don't mind being 3 deep. There's many good horses that have won this race being 3 deep, and there's many other horses that have won this race from the deep draw. So she's really well. Mr. Terry's happy. I'm happy. I had to try and retain the title, so there's a lot of pressure. But having said, I'm worried about the draw, but within herself, she's in a great space. Mr. Terry and I can never be happier.
Well, that's Samanga Kamalo's thoughts on Rain in Holland. And the draw, the way if she needs to settle, etc. Clean run race, but she's good. She's good. What is she trading at, Rain in Holland? 15 to 1 tonight. They give you 18 to 1 about Rain in Holland. The last horse to talk about before we get some selections or a short list, call it what you like, is number 18, Pomp and Power. And Muzi's going to talk us through Pomp and Power. He's by Verse and Getrix for Greg Bortz, Etienne Braun, and Marsh Shirtliff. Justin Snaith, the trainer, and Bernard Faderherb Jetson to town to ride Pomp and Power. Now we know that Justin was in my office yesterday, and he said the horse is as strong as an ox, bit mad. Things have got to go right for him. But on his day, he can run this horse.
Yes, definitely. He's got all the talent in the world. Just his temperament is not great. That's is a bit of his downfall. But I think he's a horse that draw 18 could be what he just needs, because if he over races, I can't see Bernard looking to fight with him, and it's not a race where you want to be fighting with the horse. So I think where he's drawn could be an assist for him to help him settle, or I'm sure you'll find horses like Rain in Holland to be behind and follow, or ended up, you know what I mean, if you're 3 deep and he's settled, I think he can be very, very competitive. And just my concern with him, the reason why I can't have him as my first selection, is just I'm not quite convinced with his prep, though he's got a great conditioner, Mr. Snaith, but just his prep is a little bit off for me. And obviously Bernard is, as much as he's a talented rider and I think can get along with the difficult horse, I don't know if he's had a time to gel with the horse. So a little bit of negatives for me, so a lot to just not for winning for me.
Many questions to answer, and things have really got to go as well. I understand exactly what Muzi's saying with regards to number 18, Pomp and Power, and on his day he could certainly make his presence felt, but if he overboils and things don't go right, he certainly can't place if that happens. But if things go his way, he could certainly be in the money. Okay. That is our assessment on the 18 runners for the Hollywoodbets Durban July. We're going to give you, I'm going to ask the gentleman for 4 horses. Obviously you want to win, obviously you're hoping to win, but just the 4 horses, whether you put yours at the top of the list or on third or at the bottom of the list, I'm going to ask for 4 horses that punters must include in their quartets, and of course that they must respect, horses that we like. And I'll start with me, just to give you both a moment, because I've done this 2 weeks ago already. My 4 horses for the Hollywoodbets Durban July: 7, See It Again; 10, Dave the King; 9, Son of Raj; and 17, Rain in Holland. And Son of Raj and Rain in Holland, of course, because I've got my 2 brothers on either side of me, I certainly hope they do well, and I've included them in all my bets. But 7, See It Again from Dave the King, healthy respect for Rain in Holland, and healthy respect for Son of Raj for our colleagues on either side. But Bling, have you got your list of 4 ready?
Yes, Warren. I'll go to 10 and 17, 15.
2, 10, 17, 15. That's without question. Dave the King, Rain in Holland, and Rascallion. 2, 10, 17, 15. Those are Bling's 4 numbers. And Mr. Muzi Yeni, your 4 numbers, please.
Yes, and I'll stick to my guns. The horse we all have to beat, See It Again. What a question, being drawn so well. My next selection, my horse, Son of Raj, purely just of a lot of positive he's got. And Rascallion, just because he's an older horse and he's quite close at the weight to the 3-year-olds, must be a runner.
2, 9, and 15. Those are Muzi's numbers: 7, 2, 9, and 15. Well, it gives me great pleasure to talk again about Muzi Yeni and Samanga Kamalo. Lovely to have been with them. It's a busy, busy week for everybody in racing. But Samanga, and to you, Muzi, for all the great rides you give us, for all the excitement on the racetrack, all the good interviews, thank you. Thank you for your time tonight. We wish you all the very, very best for the big race. We wish you for the best for every race, health and safety, and may the best horse and may the best man win. And thank you to both of you.
Thank you, Warren. Can't thank you enough. I want to thank Track and Ball, Gold Circle, Gallop TV, just the whole crowd for giving us their moment and their ear. Obviously, we just come from racing analysis. I'm sure at the back the punters do know more than us at most times. So just thanks for the ear and allowing us to come out here.
Bling,
Yes,
it's been wonderful.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Thanks to Track and Ball, and thanks to Tab and obviously Gallop TV. And we all there just to do the best we can. And this is what we enjoy doing, riding horses. And we can only share a little bit of information from jockeys' side view. And the guys out there, they have to still make up their minds. And we're just giving what we think, and knowing and the little bit of knowledge with the horse and how everything's supposed to be planned out. I wish I was riding sparkling water, and it would have been easy. But I'll stick with the filly, and I've done well with the filly last year. So yeah, to the guys out there, hope you get the right ones, and good night. Whoop, whoop.
Now, before you say good night, before we go, I want you to show the punters you've got a lovely, what is that called, that flash? Do that for us. Do that for us. Mozieni, there he is. That's what he's going to hopefully be doing on Saturday. And everybody in the room, I want to see if you can make the right whoop whoop. We want to know if you can make a noise. So on the count of 3, I want to see if the man who invented whoop whoop is happy with the whoop whoop he gets from the crowd here. So on the count of 3, I'd like everybody in the room to shout whoop whoop. So on 1, 2, 3. No, not a great effort, eh? It's from Warren Linferno, Graham Hawkins, and the entire team here at Track and Ball, the finishing post. Lovely to be your host and lovely to be with you. Punt well, and as always, thank you for your support, because without the punter, we certainly couldn't do it.